Alright, let's talk React. Today we're diving deep into what makes React such a powerhouse in modern web development. We're going to understand its core concepts, works under the hood, and why developers absolutely love it. So grab your notes and let's get started. What makes React so powerful? When you see those incredibly smooth and responsive web apps, you might wonder, what's React's secret? Well, it's not just one magic trick. It's a set of really smart ideas working together. And the best place to start is right at the foundation, React's rendering engine. At the heart of it lies something called the virtual DOM. Understanding the virtual DOM, imagine the real browser DOM like a huge blueprint of your web page. Changing it directly is slow and expensive. So React says, why not keep a lightweight copy of it in memory? That's the virtual DOM. Whenever something changes, like data or user input, React creates a new snapshot of this virtual DOM. Then it compares it with the previous one in a process called diffing. Once it spots the differences, React updates only those small parts of the real DOM, not the entire page. And that's the secret behind React's blazing fast performance. JSX, the developer's delight. Now when you write React code, you use something called JSX. It looks like HTML, but here's the twist. Browsers don't actually understand JSX. JSX is what we call syntactic sugar. Behind the scenes, it turns into plain JavaScript using React's createElement function. So JSX makes our code look clean and intuitive while still giving us the full power of JavaScript. Components. The building blocks next up. Components, the real building blocks of every React app. Most developers today use functional components. These are just simple JavaScript functions in some data called props, and they return JSX that tells React what to show on the screen. Simple, modular, and reusable. Hooks adding superpowers, but the real magic of React components comes from hooks. Hooks let you use state and other React features right inside these simple functions. For example, you can use useState to make a counter or manage form inputs without writing a class. Hooks make components more interactive, powerful, and easy to maintain. Fragments, clean code, extra divs. Here's a common problem. What if your component needs to return multiple elements side by side? Earlier, you had to wrap them inside a div, which cluttered your HTML. React introduced fragments. You just use empty angle brackets or tar. They group elements without adding extra tags to the DOM. Clean and efficient! Controlled vs uncontrolled components. Let's talk about managing data. When you create input fields or forms in React, there are two main approaches, controlled and uncontrolled components. In a controlled component, React fully manages the input value using its state. React is the boss here. In an uncontrolled component, the browser manages the input's value, and you just access it using a ref when needed. Controlled components give more predictable behavior, but uncontrolled ones are fine for simpler use cases. What are refs? Refs are like React's escape hatch. Most of the time, you let React handle everything. But sometimes, you need direct access to a DOM element, like focusing an input, controlling a video player, or integrating with an external library. That's when you use refs. They're powerful, should be used sparingly. Lifting state up. Now imagine you have two components that both need to use the same piece of data. The solution. Lifting state up. You move the shared state to their nearest common parent and then pass it down as props. This keeps your data consistent and in sync across components. The problem? Prop drilling, but as your app grows, passing props down through many layers becomes messy. This is called prop drilling. To fix this, React gives us context. Think of it like a public announcement system. A parent component provides data using a provider. Any deeply nested child can directly access it. No need to pass props through every level. Context makes managing global data like user info or themes super easy. Code splitting and lazy loading. Finally, let's talk about performance. When your app grows, it's not a good idea to make users download the entire app code upfront. Instead, React allows code splitting. You can split your code into smaller chunks and load them only when needed using React. Lazy. And while the new code is loading, you can use Suspense to show a loading spinner or message, making the experience smooth and seamless. Wrapping up, and that's it. We've covered everything from the virtual DOM to JSX components, hooks, fragments, state management, context, and code splitting. Isn't just a library, it's a whole way of thinking about building user interfaces. It's fast, flexible, and makes coding fun again. So keep experimenting, keep coding,